Hello and welcome to another Parry's Pickups. Still in the UK at the moment, and yeah, a few more games to share with you. So first of all, this game was picked up in Nottingham, and it is a Dragon's Fury. Oh, there you go. Dragon's Fury is a pinball game for the Mega Drive, of course, and it's really good. It's based on a, I think it's a TurboGrafx 16 game called Devil's Crush, if I'm not mistaken. This is like a reworked version. With a more kind of, what do you call it, swords and sorcery type aesthetic to it. One thing I noticed on the cover, it's very creepy. This lady's face. Oh my lord. There's something not quite right there. Anyway, it's very good. It's the best pinball game I've played on the Mega Drive anyway. As you can see, it was £10. Quite a lot of money for a older Mega Drive game. It's not a particularly rare game, I don't think, but this is a complete copy of the game, and I think for the quality here, oops, not the camera, I think for the quality it is well worth the money. It does state on the front it's the best 3D pinball game in the world, and this was in 1992, so we have come away since then, but still this is a very good game, and it may just be the best pinball game on the Mega Drive. Next up from the same place is Casper for the PlayStation. Now, growing up I was a big fan of Casper. It was the movie that introduced me to the character, and yeah, I absolutely loved it. I had a Casper themed birthday party. And I do remember at the time looking at this game, I think in my uncle's 3DO magazine. I think this was released on the 3DO and the Saturn as well, I think. This PlayStation version is good. It is a top-down sort of, what would I call it? Dungeon crawler-esque game? Point-and-click adventure type thing. So you control Casper. Its first task is to find a present to give to the two new owners of his house, who in the film were played by Bill Pullman and Christina Ricci. It's what I remember. Can't remember their names actually, even though I did play it this morning. And so yeah, so you wander around, you collect keys, you open doors, you gain new abilities which enable you to explore more of the house. It was actually really good. I really got into this game. For example, to give you an impression of the progression in this game. So it first started off with collecting a few keys, opening a few doors, and then I started to open some chests which contained pieces of a painting. Went down to the main hall and was able to complete the painting. And I got a new ability to enable me to turn into like smoke, so I could travel through vents, which enabled me to get into new areas. There were a couple of bosses which it was Fatso and Stinky, two of Casper's uncles, and I wasn't trying to beat them, but I think he maybe hadn't got the object I needed to beat them yet. I'd picked up a bucket and a weight, and I didn't need to use them yet, so perhaps, yeah, it made you think a little bit. It's pretty good. Unfortunately I couldn't save it because I was playing it on my PS3. PS3. And yeah, with the internal memory cards on the PS3, once they're full, they're full. And I don't know if there's a way to get more. I know you can plug in like a adapter for PS2 memory cards for the 60 gig PS3, but oh, sorry, I keep knocking this stand. Sorry about that. But yeah, anyway, so I couldn't save it unfortunately, but I will come back to this because it's rather good. I can recommend it. £5. Can't go wrong with that. Next up, a game for the PlayStation I'm not too enthralled with. In fact, it's a game I'm quite familiar with. In fact, I used to own this game. It's Dragon Ball GT Final Bout. Well, it doesn't say GT on it, but it's quite obvious. It's came out around the time of Dragon Ball GT by Goku's look there. So this is a fighting game, and that is why I own it. Yeah. Otherwise I would not own this game because it's not a very good fighting game. And yeah, just lately a little bit with the fighting games, I've been collecting more games which I know aren't necessarily very good, if I can get them at a reasonable price. It's a little bit completist because it would be nice to have every fighting game released for the PS1. I've got a fair chunk of them already, so that is why I picked up this game from my good friend and fellow blast processor Mike. He's kind enough to sell this to us. It's a terrible fighting game. I can hardly bear to play it, but it is now part of the collection, so don't buy a Dragon Ball Final Bout because it's terrible unless you're a stupid completionist like myself. Moving along, a series which I'm really into at the moment, that's FIFA Street. FIFA Street 3 is my most recent FIFA Street pickup, and this is for the PS3, as you can see. It was about £4.50. Yeah, it's a little bit different than the other FIFA Streets. I talked about FIFA Street 2 briefly before. And FIFA Street 3 takes a different perspective than FIFA Street 2. You view it from the side as most traditional football games, whereas FIFA Street 2 was viewed from a top angle. Gameplay is very similar, very straightforward football game. Very easy to pick up and play. It's 5-side. It's good. I've only spent a little bit of time with this, so I can't quite compare it to the other games in the series. But it seems very similar to begin with. One thing that is quite notable about it is it features heavily stylized characters in a way the previous... It's kind of been going towards that in all the FIFA Street games. So this is the most extreme kind of characterization, and all the big players are in there. And yes, it's fun. Look forward to giving that a bit more of a go. While we're on the subject of FIFA Street, I also picked up FIFA Street 1, as you can see here. Still got stickers on. This was from CX, £1.50. That's the same price I paid for FIFA Street 2. It's very good. It's pretty much, I'd say it was probably as good as FIFA Street 2, but it's a bit different. Like FIFA Street 3, the perspective is from the side as opposed to from the top, which works very well, I think. I think I might actually say I prefer the setup in FIFA Street 2, but this still plays really well indeed. And I've read recently about the last FIFA Street game that was released. They really wanted to start fresh with the series, as they felt these games didn't actually offer a lot. I think they offer plenty. I think they're really good arcade style football games, and you can't go wrong with any of them that I've played so far. What I'd say is I've been collecting one for every format, so PS2 FIFA Street, Xbox FIFA Street 2, PS3 FIFA Street 3, and I'll get the last FIFA Street game, which was simply called FIFA Street on the Xbox 360. But really good. I can't recommend the series enough for those casual kind of sports fans who haven't quite got the grips with the regular football games or hate the offside rule. Then play FIFA Street. Next up, we'll stick on PS2. This is Sylpheed for the PS2. This is a top-down shooting game. It's pretty good. You may be familiar with the previous instalment in the series on the Mega CD, which is the game I own. I still haven't played yet, so this is my first introduction to the series, and it's a very nice top-down shooter. Really straightforward to play. You can customise your ship with 2 different lasers. You can upgrade that later on at the beginning of 2 different ones, and you can just they're on the corresponding buttons square and X, so you can switch in between 2 lasers. I wasn't quite sure what advantage one laser had over the other, because you can like give yourself 2 of the same laser. Anyway, it's nice to have some customization in there. Graphics are nice. It's an earlier PS2 game, so don't expect anything too fancy. But if you're after a solid top-down shooter, this seems like it's a good one. Also got Game Arts on there, and Game Arts, I think, did Grandia. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but also Treasure's name is attached to this, so you know it's going to be a quality title. This is another game I bought off fellow blast processor Mike, and that's Bloody Roar 3. Again, being quite completist with the fighting games here. I do have Bloody Roar Primal Fury for the GameCube, which is, what would you call it, a variation on this game. It's this was the basic one they released back on the PS2, and then I think they improved various elements for the GameCube Primal Fury, and there's also an Xbox Bloody Roar game which uses Bloody Roar 3 as its basis. So yeah, it feels like a slightly older PS2 game which it is. You can tell by the box colour here. All the original PAL PS2 games came in these darker boxes. I don't know if that's true all over the world. I think it might be. But yeah, it's good. Bloody Roar series is a quality fighting game series. It's always very novel to be able to press a button and change into a creature and continue the fight like that. So I think this is it's a good fighting game. I haven't played Primal Fury on the GameCube recently, so I can't say exactly how this differs from that. But it was different. I don't know if it's got all the characters in. Something felt different about it. Different enough to warrant owning a copy anyway. Might as well stick with fighting games. I picked up a new release. That's Guilty Gear. Xrd Revelator. That's probably not how you say it. But this is the latest version of Guilty Gear Xrd. And the previous versions was released only in Japan and America, I think. So this is the first time Europe gets the latest Guilty Gear game. And the big selling point of this latest installment of Guilty Gear is all the characters are fully 3D rendered, but they're done in such a way they still look like they're 2D animated, which you have to play it to experience, or just check out a video online as well if you haven't already. This game looks fantastic and it plays as good as it looks. Really enjoyable. Feels like Guilty Gear still, but the way it transitions between the fighting and moving the camera around for various special moves, and it's sort of, maybe it reminds me of some of the Dragon Ball Z games in the way. The way the camera really kind of zooms out and does lots of fancy things, so you can really appreciate some of these really over-the-top moves the characters are doing. But if you play Guilty Gear before, you'll feel right at home with this. I really like it. It's more expensive. I was looking online at this game. I think the cheapest I could find it was £25. I got it for £20 from Granger Games, which, £20 I thought was pretty good. So yeah, I picked it up. It wasn't something I'd gone out looking for, but when I saw it at that price, I was like, yeah, I should probably get that. But can't recommend it enough. Now, you may wonder why I got the PS3 version as opposed to the PS4 version. Basically, I already have a Guilty Gear game on the PS4, and that was the previous instalment of this series. Quite happy with that. Thought, well, it'd be nice to get a Guilty Gear game for PS3 because I don't have any Guilty Gear games on PS3. And to my knowledge, in Europe, they didn't release any Guilty Gear games on the PS3. I think in Japan, maybe America, I'm not sure, there was a downloadable Guilty Gear game. We got that on Xbox 360. So, and I think that's the only, other than Guilty Gear 2, the only other Guilty Gear game on 360 as well. Anyway, so that's why I got it on PS3. And it looks fine on PS3. I don't know if the frame rate's as high. It's running in 720p, and maybe the PS4 version runs higher. But having the previous installment, yeah, that's alright with me. Didn't really affect my enjoyment of the game in any way. One thing also note about this game is there's lots of options. Really nice online hub. I didn't find any matches online, unfortunately, this time around, but I'd hope to in the future. But yeah, there's a lot of help in the game as well. So even when you pause the game in the middle of a match, you can actually get tips and tricks to help you progress if you get stuck. It's so fully featured. It's well worth the money. I mean, it's come out of the budget title, but it's one of the best fighting games around at the moment. So don't miss out on that one if you like fighters. A racing game on the Wii this time, £2.50. It's Formula 1 2009. Bought this because I don't have a Formula 1 game on the Wii. So yeah, that's it. It's good, and I knew it would be good, not just because it said the authentic F1 experience on the back, 5 out of 5 Games Master Most Wanted rating, but that it is developed by Sumo Digital in collaboration with Codemasters. So those two developers are definitely the high end of the desirable developer factor, if that's the thing. Also, you can use a Wii wheel. Don't know why you'd want to. You can. Well, I can understand actually. It's a Formula 1 game, but I've always personally found the Wii wheel a bit cumbersome with these type of things. You can use classic controllers and a remote and nunchuck style setup. It looks very nice. Yeah, the sound isn't particularly. You know, you can guess what this game sounds like. It's a Formula 1 game, so it's like elephants being strangled. But it's good all the same. So I can recommend that. £2.50. I can't grumble. And lastly, we have Kage Katana, which is a bullet hell style shooter. It's for the 360. I got this pretty cheap, I think. I can't remember. It's from Denmark, from GameStop. So this is just something I picked up just before I came back to the UK. So it's not a UK pickup as such, but it's really good. I think you can complete the main arcade mode in about 30 minutes. I think that's how long it took me. And there's unlimited continues on that as well. But when there's unlimited continues, I do feel sometimes like, have I really achieved much? But I didn't have to use many continues. I think I used 9. The game does tell you at the very end, so you can always try and better your performance, or maybe take away the ability to use continues. It probably has that option. But yeah, I think it's really good. There's something about these bullet hell shooters where there's a great degree of satisfaction when you manage to dodge these projectiles that are really coming at you thick and fast. And seeing that spectacle on the screen is always exciting to behold. It's got HD graphics, of course, 69 support, which, you know, obviously most games have nowadays, but it's noteworthy to mention that this has that. 1 to 2 players. I haven't played it 2-player yet, but I imagine that could be rather fun. Yeah, what I was going to say, you're fighting mostly vehicles, mostly planes. It's got a kind of very period Japanese aesthetic, kind of a little bit steampunk-esque. You have some of the enemies, the bosses at least, are humans, flying humans. If you've played these kind of shooter games before, you'll probably be familiar with that kind of aesthetic. Your player, your ship, has 2 forms. One is a more humanoid form, and one is a more of a vehicle form. And it's got plenty of different characters. An incentive to playing through with all the different characters. So plenty there. You can probably get. I don't know if you can get it quite cheap. Now I certainly did. So if you like shooting, you see this around. It's a good one. I really quite enjoyed that one. That's Kage Katana. And that brings me to the end of this Parry Pickups. I hope you've enjoyed. Another varied bunch of games there, but there is still more to come. A lot of imports I haven't spoken about yet, so they'll come in maybe the next episode. We'll see how we go. But yeah, keep checking back for more Parry's Pickups, and see you again. Game on.